So can bees eat bananas? It sounds like such a simple question, right? Almost silly. But it turns out this is a question that really divides beekeepers, and it's hiding some surprisingly complex science. Okay, let's get into it and see if we can finally figure this out. So you've got two camps, really. On one side, there's this old beekeeper's myth that bananas are actually dangerous for bees. But on the other side, you've got researchers suggesting it could be a cheap, really beneficial food source. So which is it? Is it a dangerous myth, or could it be a hidden superfood? So this whole myth, it all boils down to a little bit of chemistry. See, bananas have this compound in them called isopentyl acetate. And here's the wild part. That's the exact same stuff bees release from their stingers when they're alarmed. It's their attack signal. So you can see the fear, right? The smell of a banana could be like ringing a dinner bell for a bee brawl.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down. We're going to start with the myth itself. Then, we need to figure out what an ideal bee diet even looks like. After that, we'll put the banana to the test with a nutritional scorecard, uncover a secret weapon it might be hiding, look at some real-world experiments, and then finally, we'll deliver the final verdict.
All right, first things first. Let's tackle that aggression myth head-on. Is there any real science behind all this talk of amethyst stings? But before we can really judge the banana, we need a benchmark. We need a gold standard to compare it against. So what does a perfect diet for a honeybee actually consist of?
And that gold standard comes from a recipe called Black's pollen substitute. I want you to think of this as like the ultimate scientifically engineered protein shake for bees. It has the perfect amount of proteins, minerals, vitamins, everything a colony needs to be in peak condition. This is what we're measuring the humble banana against.
Okay, here we go, the main event. Let's see how the banana actually stacks up in our nutritional showdown. First on the scorecard, minerals. Now, these might seem like small details, but for a bee, they're absolutely essential. They power everything from the muscle movements for flight to, and get this, even using the Earth's magnetic field to navigate. Yeah, seriously, they're a pretty big deal.
And wow, right off the bat, it's a real mixed bag. When it comes to potassium, the banana is an absolute rock star. It's got even more than the ideal diet calls for. But then you look at something like phosphorus, and the banana barely even shows up. It's a total feast in one area and a complete famine in another.
All right, next up, amino acids. Now, if minerals are the spark plugs, amino acids are the literal engine block. They are the fundamental building blocks of protein. Everything from a bee's growth to its lifespan to its immune system depends on these.
And this is where the banana's case really starts to fall apart. Look at this. We're not talking about a small gap here. This is a massive nutritional cliff. For an essential amino acid like leucine, the ideal diet needs over 19,000 milligrams. The banana? It offers a measly 680. It's just not even in the same ballpark.
Okay, our last round in the scorecard is vitamins. For a hive, these are critical for raising healthy baby bees, for developing the glands that make royal jelly, and maybe most importantly, for making it through a long, tough winter. And again, it's the same story. The banana just falls way short. Sure, it has some vitamins, like vitamin C, but the amounts are just tiny fractions of what the bees actually need. Niacin B3, the banana's got less than 7 milligrams when the ideal is 450. So yeah, the scorecard doesn't lie. As a complete meal, the banana is, well, it's a bust. So, case closed, right? The banana's a dud. Well, not so fast, because even though it's a nutritional lightweight, the banana has a secret weapon, and it's hiding in the peel. Okay, you gotta see this number. 930 milligrams per 100 grams. That's how much dopamine, yeah, the feel-good motivation chemical, is packed into an overripe banana peel. That is a ridiculously huge amount. So what's a giant hit of dopamine do to a bee? Well, these kinds of compounds, called amines, are serious behavior modifiers. They can affect foraging, memory, even make worker bees live longer. But here's the real kicker. Remember that whole aggression thing? Turns out another compound in bananas, serotonin, has been shown to make bees less responsive to those alarm pheromones. So the banana might actually make bees calmer. Okay, so the lab results are fascinating, right? But what happens in the real world? What happens when you put this stuff in an actual buzzing beehive?
The setup for these 2018 experiments was pretty simple, really. Researchers took about 100 grams of overripe banana, pulp and peel, and just placed it right inside several hives.
Then they watched. They were looking for two big things. Did it make the bees angry? And did they even eat it?
And what they found was fascinating. It all came down to one thing: timing. When there were plenty of flowers and nectar around, the bees basically ignored the banana. But during a dearth, when food was scarce, they devoured almost all of it. They treated it like an emergency ration.
Okay, so what about the big one, the aggression, the stinging frenzies? Well, the study found nothing. No stinging at all. The only defensive thing they saw was a little bouncing on the beekeeper's veil right when they first put the banana in, and that stopped almost immediately. So yeah, that whole myth, completely busted.
All right, we've looked at the myth, the nutrition, the real-world tests. Let's put it all together. What is the final verdict on bananas for bees?
And the researcher behind this study, Catherine Davitt, she really nailed it with this quote. Bananas are not a complete food. By themselves, they just can't do the job. Their real value is as an additive. So let's break it down one last time. The good, the bad, and the win. The pros? It's got lots of potassium and that massive, unique hit of things like dopamine. The cons? It's seriously lacking in protein, vitamins, you name it. And the crucial part, the win? It's really only useful when the bees are struggling to find anything else.
So when you get right down to it, the banana isn't some superfood, but it's not the bad guy either. It's not a main course. The best way to think about it is like a strategic, mood-boosting energy bar. Something you break out only when times are tough and the colony needs that little extra push to get by.